Hi everyone, how you going? Hope you're doing really well, and welcome to Platform 21. And this channel is about my music creating journey to producing. So for the last couple of weeks I've been working on this song and I had a go at mastering it, and that was a complete disaster because, as the channel name suggests, this is a journey to producing, something I've never done before. And so most of the stuff that I'm going to be doing vids on, I'll be experiencing for the first time, and mastering a song is certainly one of those things. So that went disastrously and was really frustrating, and the main issue that I had with it was the levels, the volume levels, and getting the mix getting everything sitting right in the mix. And when I thought I'd done that, when I went to master it all, I don't really know how to explain why or where it went wrong, but it just did. The loudness suddenly was crazy and all the mixing levels weren't working anymore. So I had to go right back to the start, and well, first I had to watch quite a few videos on mastering, and I found it really confusing because you're talking about all these different things. I've got decibels and volume units and peaks, and it kind of gets very blurry. But the result is that I went right back to the start of this song and when I found the most fundamental starting place for mixing, I went back and did that, and that's what I want to show you today. And from what I can tell, it is, or it used to be called, gain staging, and it's where you set the very first levels for your instruments so that they're correct all the way through. And it really is an amazing discovery for me, because it's I can tell you that when you don't know this, you just spend a lot of time moving faders up and down, thinking that you're getting a great mix, and at the end result, when you're trying to actually master it, it doesn't work. So I found several ways of doing it, but there was one in particular that made sense to me. I kind of think of it now as the most fundamental. It's like the foundation of a house. It's something you want to do first, and you want to get it right. In a nutshell, set the levels for your kick drum and your bass guitar, the two loudest instruments in your mix. And after you've set them correctly, all the other levels are relative to those. So once you've got the kick and the bass working together so you can hear them both and they're at the right volume, then everything else you can just do by ear. The one thing you do need, or that I'm going to be using here, is a VU meter, which there are some free ones out there, and the one I'm using is from Waves. So the time to do this, from what I can tell, is you don't need to worry about it when you're being inspired, when you're coming up with your idea for the song, when you're just putting some chords down or whatever you're doing and coming up with the first melody and all that and choosing a few instruments. But once you've got your idea, once that creative moment has settled and you're now starting to think about the actual mixing and the volume levels, that's when you want to do this. One thing about it is you don't want to have any effects on, so you want a completely clean channel. That is the actual kick drum of the instrument, and that's the volume level of it. So that's the origin of the signal. You want to be raising or lowering the volume level at its origin. And same thing with on your master track or master bus. Don't have anything on it, just completely clean at this point. The other thing you want to have is a VU meter, and you put that on your master track. I think there are some free plugins, VU meter plugins, and this one is from Waves, was $30, so it's not too bad. So you can do this without a VU meter, but it just makes it a bit simpler. A VU meter is volume unit, so an average of the signal. an average of both the peaks and the main signal. And if you are using Ableton, drag them all the way up. You set the kick drum level to 0. Then go into the actual kick drum. In Ableton, this is the velocity editor. So you can see the velocity of the note is 127, so it's at the max. So that's another place where the volume, the origin of the volume is being created, as well as in the actual kick drum itself, where you've got a volume level here. You solo the kick and then go to your master track. So the only thing going in the master track is the kick. So when the kick lands, you want it to hit 3 on this meter. So there's two ways to affect that level: through the note strength in the velocity editor. So if I take the first 2 kicks and lower this velocity editor halfway, and also raise this up too in Ableton. If you're using Ableton, it gives you more fine control. Right, so now the first 2 kick, we'll see that the level's going to be less. See, it's way down here now, and then it goes back to 3. So, and I guess it's personal preference how you do this, because the other place where you can affect the volume, the origin of the signal, is on the drum itself. So this is at -19, so I mean I could set that to 0, and now we'll see that those first 2 kicks will be much louder. See, they're completely maxing out. I've chosen to change the volume here to 19, -19.5 I think it was, and have the velocity of the notes at maximum. And that's because through the song I'm not going to want the kick to be any louder, but I might want it to be a bit softer. The velocity editor sometimes works, I find, it works with more subtlety when you're in the top end of its range, 100 to 127. Either way, what you want to do is have this VU meter landing on 3 when the kick comes in. I'm just going to go on to the bass and we'll mix that in, and then I'll explain what's actually going on with this meter and why we want to land at 3. So solo the bass and the kick now. When the bass and the kick playing at the same beat, you want the VU meter to land on 0. So the bass is going to add 3 dB to that signal. To achieve that, you want to make sure that the origin of the signal, and in this case it's a contact instrument, and this is the volume level for the instrument here, and I see I've got that at 0. I don't really want to lower the volume on this instrument, because this particular one, you get all the resonances of the notes from this one with the volume at 0. If the volume's down at -20 or something, you're going to lose some dynamics. So, but if we go into the velocity editor, you'll see that I've had to drop the level of the velocity editor to 100, from 127 to 100, to get it to land, only add 3 dB. Right, so that's all you need to do, is set those two so that when the kick's on its own it's at 3, and when the kick and the bass land it goes up to 0. Now if you look at this VU meter up here where it says headroom, this headroom is actually at -18. So if you look at this one over here where it's calibrated on the main bus, you'll see that when the kick plays, not only is the VU meter set to -18, we're also dropping it to 3. Its main sound level is going to land at around -21. See? Just there. If you look over here, you can see that the peak level is actually -9.3. So it's the highest volume peak in that kick drum is 12 dB more. Now this is why you want to set it, the kick at -3, because it needs so much headroom. So the kick is peaking at -9.3, but if you look at the master bus, the volume level there is actually couple of dB even higher, so it's at -7 already, and that's just with a kick and a bass. So by the time you add a few more instruments to it, that level is going to be creeping up, getting nearer to naught. We want to keep the mix at least -5 at its peak, with all the instruments going. Certainly about -5 or -6, because when you get to mastering, to finishing this song, you're going to need that headroom of at least 3 to 6 dB to master it properly. So there we go, how you gain stage. Now I have seen people go through all of their instruments with the VU meter. I think you can just do that by ear. You know, now that you've got the bass and the kick drum set over here at naught on the levels, then the other instruments you can set them by ear, whatever sounds right, and you know that you're always able to refer to the bass and the kick as the loudest part of the song. But anyway, that is the awesome discovery I made about what they call gain staging, but just setting your levels. And certainly from my experience with this last 2 weeks of chasing my tail, mixing this song, and it wasn't a waste of time, but to spend 2 weeks mixing a song and then get to the next stage to master it and having to go, oh well, that's all completely wrong, they're all, the relative levels aren't right. It was a really good discovery to find out that it's the bass and the kick that are the foundation of your song in terms of volume levels, and you have to set them first, and then everything else is relative to them. So I think probably a lot of people already knew this, but that's what this channel is about. It's a music creator's journey into producing, which is a whole other ball game. And I'm actually really excited because this is the first song that I'll be putting up as a demo that will have gone through the whole process of being made and mixed and mastered. I'm working on the mastering this week, and I'm actually going away for a few days out to a beach house where it's nice and quiet and I can get this done. So I'll be putting up some vlogs down at the beach pretty soon. That's going to be exciting. And well, thanks for watching, and I hope you found something in this, or if you already knew about gain staging, maybe you found a new way of doing it. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.